All right, YouTube, once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast talking Auburn football. Go ahead and like this video, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle. All right, so YouTube has this algorithm to where if you like the video, it will kind of sort of ping it out there to where people will watch it. Of course, this is a relatively it's kind of a middle tier as far as subscriber goes channel. So if you guys can help me out and like the video, hell, even if you unlike it, that doesn't hurt as either. Also, commenting really helps as well. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle. Now, here is the deal. Tomorrow is the early signing period. Now, for those of you all who don't know, maybe some of your more casual fans out there, the early signing period is a 72-hour window to where signees from the 2020 recruiting class can go ahead and shut down their recruitment. Now, most of the action is going to be going on tomorrow, just like on draft day. Most of the high-profile stuff comes on the first day, like your lottery, your first-round pick, your first pick of the draft, things like that. Now, the difference between college football and the NFL is the fact that college football actually has two big signing days, okay? You got this signing period, and then, of course, you have the national signing day, the national signing day that will take place in February. That's where everything becomes solid. That's where you start to solidify your rosters for spring training moving forward. But then you got the transfer portal that had some funky stuff going on. If you think about Cameron Kelly, a recruit for Auburn from last year who decided, he wanted to go be closer to home, wound up at University of North Carolina. Then when you got, other guys throughout the nation who were playing musical chairs with their recruitment. So you just got to really look out for everything here in the next couple of days. Now, as projected, I got a few guys that I'm really hoping to see go ahead and sign that letter of intent on tomorrow. Now, here's some guys I predict will do it. Tank Bigsby, obviously the number one recruit of this particular class, running back out of Callaway High School, Hogansville, Georgia, right there in the middle of 85 between Auburn and Atlanta. Probably closer to Auburn than Atlanta. His folks probably get to work quicker if they worked in Atlanta. Probably would get to work quicker if they just as quick coming from Auburn. So very, very close in proximity. Also, right down 85, Kobe Hudson. I think he'll sign tomorrow as well. Wesley Steiner, I think he might be a guy that may sign in February. I think he's going to keep his recruiting open, not for sure. Xavier Capers, nice wide receiver, 6'3", out of Atlanta, Georgia, says that he shut his stuff down. J.J. Evans out of Montevallo, Alabama, has also says he shut his recruitment down, but we will find out tomorrow how true most of this stuff is. But stay tuned. We will have coverage on the early signing period. Like I said before, will take place between tomorrow and ending up on Friday. It's a 72-hour window to where these kids can go ahead and sign and basically shut their recruitment down. Now, as I think about it, Auburn has had some pretty good recruits in their, as we're talking about recruits, Auburn has had some pretty good recruits over the years. Derek Brown actually is the number 2 all-time highest rated recruit in Auburn history. Usually that's obviously a 5, for a school like Auburn, that's going to be a 5-star recruit. Now, the way 5-star recruits are described is usually a guy who has not necessarily once in a lifetime talent, but usually their talent is immediately transferable to the Power 5 level. And they tend to progress to be early round draft picks. I think about, Derek Brown as the number 2 all-time pick in Auburn history as far as recruiting goes. And I think about how his talent has really transcended, how he's developed over the years to really become a seriously dominant player. Now, if we look at the beginning of this season, most teams did not think that Auburn's defensive line would be as good as it turned out to be. The Oregon game, it was kind of looking like that, especially in the first half. But some things started to happen. Rodney Garner, Kevin Steele, Travis Williams, they started to see some stuff with this defensive line. They saw to where they could diversify this thing a little bit. The advancement of Coinus Miller and Tyrone Truesdale really, really helped to push Derrick Brown and Marlon Davidson over the top to where they could really accentuate their talent because they had a support system. Because what it looked like was going to happen, all lines had to do was double Derrick Brown up, and then their offense would be effective. But that wasn't the case. Because of the advancement of Tyrone Truesdale, Coinus Miller, Derek Hall off the bench, Big Cat Bryant also had a good season. T.D. Moultrie started to emerge as well. Nick Cole was kind of off and on. I think he was having some issues with, finding his niche within this Auburn defense. But hopefully next year, some progression and him actually being the man, one of the veterans on this defense will really help out. But Derrick Brown's advancement, Marlon Davidson's advancement was largely in due part, not only to their, high-level capabilities, but some really big-time support that they had from their fellow defensive linemen. A little more inexperienced, but those guys really stepped up and gave Derrick Brown and Marlon Davidson and the coaching staff some options as to what they could do with Derrick Brown and Marlon Davidson, moving them up and down the line of scrimmage. You never know where these guys are going to line up because, see, the blocking assignments tend to be different as you get outside of the inner portion of the offensive line. Techniques are different, assignments are different, and it's kind of hard to block a guy like Derrick Brown if he's charging at you and you don't have that leverage to say that a guard does. But if you start looking at it from a tackle perspective, it's hard to block a Derrick Brown, okay, who's just as big as a defensive lineman, but just as quick as a defensive end in some points. There were even portions of his game where he introduced a spin move against Alabama. That thing was absolutely phenomenal. Big shout out to Derrick Brown, the number 2 all-time recruit, and he's lived up to the bill. Very, very excellent season. AP Defensive Player of the Year, garnishing many other awards. Go ahead and like this video, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Vernon Speaks Sports once again talking about Auburn football. Remember, stay tuned. Tomorrow is the early signing period. Very important. Some of you casual fans that don't really know exactly what's going on, we're here to help you out. Also, hope to have some coverage on some of the guys that do sign tomorrow. That coming either tomorrow or the next day. Go ahead and like this video, comment, and subscribe. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.